Welcome to the GHT Overland Podcast, where we visit with overland travelers around the globe, sharing their stories and their experiences with you. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Chris, coming to you live, well, podcast live if that counts, from our little city of Washougal, Washington, known as the entrance to the Columbia River Gorge.
This week we do a little recap of some past episodes and ask you some overland questions.
So who's asking the questions?
Well, I guess both of us.
Okay. You're going to be nice?
Of course I am.
You won't take over the mic again?
I take over the mic.
Not really. So let's go through some of our regular questions and hit the highlights or some common themes that maybe we've seen throughout our first 20 episodes. Did you know that our last episode, number 3 with Ernesto and Thaisa with Overland the Americas, was number 20?
20 is an awesome number.
Pretty cool. Yeah. We don't number our episodes as we go through each one. Not kind of our thing. But, yeah, so pretty cool.
So what do you think some of the inspiration has been for overlanding?
I think it's pretty simple. Getting away from the grind with a desire to see. And I think the big thing is experience cultures and environments away from home where people are used to. What do you think?
Well, I think a lot of us get in the same pattern. Like just life just goes. But there's so much different out there that we don't know of.
There's a lot to see in the world. Why should you just stay at home?
Yeah.
And watch it on TV?
Yeah.
Get out and experience it. I think that's what it is. And I think a lot of people just have that desire to explore and see things, and they're the ones that are simply taking action on it. Like a lot of things, people have dreams and desires, but they don't take action. These are the people that are taking action.
Yeah. So is there a common length of travel?
I don't think we've really found one. We've seen people that are taking trips for a few months as their budget allows. Jack and Christina come to mind with GHT Overland. And then you've got Ernesto and Thaisa that we just talked to, Overland the Americas. I think I'm going to get this wrong, but I think they've been on the road for about 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And like Hein, he's been traveling for years and years and years, and he and his wife just tend to do it like in 6 to 8 month chunks. So they go to Africa, then they go back home, and then because they love Africa or that whole region, then they'll go back, rinse and repeat. So I think it really just depends on what people's available time is. Like Hein is retired, so he doesn't need to go back to a job. And his wife is working. I think she's retiring from nursing probably a few months ago, if not coming up very soon. I don't remember the exact time. And other people, it just depends on what their budget allows them to do.
Yeah. But it strikes me interesting, moving along, there's so many different, like, vehicles. Like, it's not just one type of overland vehicle.
Yeah, I think if there is a common theme with anything, it's that everything is different, if you can call that a theme, right? So everybody kind of does their thing a little bit differently. The vehicles we've seen, we've talked to Misha, who had a 10-ton truck. I think it was 10 ton. It was pretty close to that if it's not 10 ton. Sorry, Misha, if I get that wrong. To Jack and Christina with GHT Overland, Jack and Gemma with See You Around, Till Burned with Bodensee Overlander. They all have smaller single vehicles, like a 4-door type vehicle. Mm-hmm. And then we had Ox Overland with Jason and Chris, and most recently Ernesto and Thaisa with the same single vehicle with a rooftop tent setup.
Yeah, quite variety, but it's still going to get you where you want to go because you have that. They have that desire, that passion of adventure.
Yeah, and I think Bern and Claudio with Bodensee Overlander, I think they may win the oldest vehicle. I'm not sure, but Their Defender is an older vehicle.
Is it 20 years old?
I think it was 20 years old. Yeah, and it takes a lot of maintenance and love and care to keep that thing rolling. And hats off to him. I mean, he's not even a mechanically minded guy. He's a computer guy, but he got into it and he's learned it and he's able to do whatever needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super cool. So I think that the message there is you don't have to have a particular vehicle. It doesn't have to be any one thing. It just needs to work for you, and you need to have the wherewithal to make sure you can keep it running regardless of what may happen, because just like with life, things happen.
Yeah.
And you just have to get through those challenges.
Exactly. So what about most valuable items?
Well, again, that's just varied. That's totally personal preference. Of course, my favorite was Jack and Christina with GHT Overland and Thaisa with Overland the Americas as coffee lovers.
As we both are.
Yeah, because we can relate to that. And their coveted gear for making coffee. Other than that, it's just varied depending on, there's been computer equipment, well, not computer equipment, storage drives to store all the pictures and videos that they're taking while they're on the road, to a Leatherman was Chris's favorite with Ox Overland. Yeah, it just really depends on personal preference and what's important to them.
Talking about coffee, you know, it'd be kind of fun to have on the podcast someone that has a coffee plantation, and we go visit, and then we interview them.
So we're going to turn this into a coffee plantation interview podcast?
No, we can make it a coffee plantation destination for overlanders.
Oh, so finding a destination for coffee lovers like us to stop along their way on their overland trip. It seems to me that somebody brought up something like that they had stopped at a coffee, and I'm just not thinking of it right off the top of my head.
Yeah, it just sounds good. Yummy.
I think it might have been Till. Oh, Till is the one that stopped at a coffee festival, and there was coffee jam.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
So each of our interviews, there's something that they've removed, but it hasn't always been the same for each person.
No, I would say if there's an overriding theme that really stuck out to me, it's been clothing. People tend to pack more clothing than what they need. You've got Misha, who donated his generator to a man in Uganda. So from generators to clothing, I think we've talked about all of it. You had Jack and Gemma. They had previously, they said that they carried too much clothing, and then they removed some kayaks, so it gave them a lot more room in the vehicle. They didn't have to wrestle around with those.
Kayaks and scuba gear?
No, scuba gear was Ernesto and Thaisa.
Oh, right.
With Overland the Americas. And they embraced the extra clothing that they took.
Yes.
They used it to pack stuff in so it didn't rattle. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
That was really funny, actually.
So I always visualize these favorite destinations that they bring up. Just trying to visualize and capture the beauty of it all. It just makes your mind wander. Like my first thought would be the high mountain roads in Australia.
Yep, that was with Jack and Gemma with See You Around.
I mean, I can only imagine what the view is from that. It's just...
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And this is obviously one that's challenging for people to come up with, oh, this was my favorite or that was my favorite. Because the world is so full of gorgeous places, to narrow it down to 2 or 3 is just not fair. But I like having that conversation or that question so that we're getting some very direct answers And I think what it really comes down to is the experience they have while they're at a location. It's not really the location itself. There are some that are just gorgeous and beautiful, but I think what really ties it in for people is the experience that they end up having while they're at that location.
Get in there.
Yeah, and sometimes it's been getting there. What about kitchen setups, Lisa? What have you pulled away with? Anything that was really stood out or a favorite to you or a common theme?
Well, I do like the option, I believe it was Misha and Hein. They had full kitchen setups inside the vehicle, and then as well as smaller setups outside. So taking advantage of both type of weather. So if it's rainy, you can still cook, not get wet.
Oh, that's right, because Misha had two different options, right?
Yeah.
Had an inside kitchen, full kitchen, and then they were prepared to do an outside kitchen as well. So that was really neat.
Yeah. So if it's, nice weather and you cook outside.
Yeah, it's super nice to have that option, to have that indoor, larger truck type vehicle to do that with. But most everybody does not have that, and they're using a smaller setup, so their kitchen is always going to be outside in some fashion or another.
Yeah.
I think the way that Jack and Christina with GHT Overland, the way that their vehicle was set up, if it was a rainy, windy, blustery, crummy day outside, they could do all of that inside. I don't know if Bernd and Claudia could do that with Bodensee Overlander. Not really coming to me, but I know Jack and Christina for sure. But again, it varies greatly, and if you're going to a warmer climate, then hey, you really don't need that inside option. Outside works perfect.
Yeah. So, favorite recipe. I'm liking the pizza.
Oh, with Jack and Gemma?
Yeah.
That got us, thanks Jack and Gemma, that got us on a pizza roll for like 2 weeks straight.
Super good. I used everything for different crusts. Burrito skins.
Yep.
I rolled my own dough.
Yep.
Pillsbury dough.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one time I did.
Cheated.
I did. I think I like the burrito skin the best, though. It gets crunchy.
Wait a minute, burrito skin?
Yeah.
That's cheating too.
I know, but we're just short on time on our schedule.
That's true.
But they were good.
Yeah, we've had some that gave us some little details. I'd like to get a little more detail and maybe have a recipe section on the website that would be like direct for Overlanders. Things that you would cook on the road with a typical Overlander setup. It'd be kind of fun to start getting some more details. So we'll have to push people for that.
Yep.
What about obtaining groceries on the road? That's been really, I guess, eye-opening and entertaining and maybe a little scary at the same time.
Yeah. So your staples like your rice and beans, a lot of times they're going to buy that in bulk at the grocery store to save money, right?
Well, I think the common theme is most people are saving money and on a budget, and they're going to go to a larger grocery store. Actually, it's pretty surprising to me that that there's larger format grocery stores in so many places.
Yeah.
So that's kind of helpful to know, right? So you've got that, and you're going to save money doing that. Some people are going to the local market with not a particular menu in mind, but experiencing that culture a little bit more and getting what's local and then coming up with a recipe based on that. So that's kind of cool. I really like that idea.
Yeah.
And then you have the more quote-unquote scary ones where you show up and there's a cow head. Bernd had talked about that with Bodensee Overlander. On the outside of the, I don't know if you can call it a store, but the building, and you know that they have beef.
Yep, beef.
And Hein gave really good recommendations on that one. You want to get your meat in the morning when it's fresh.
Yep, cool in the morning.
No flies.
Exactly. And they've just butchered.
And this is just different from what we're used to.
Well, if you didn't grow up on a farm.
Well, if you grew up on a farm, yeah, it's totally legit. and you're used to that sort of thing. And then Hein, and I think just most other people that have traveled, one that's pretty common is you pick out your chicken, it's alive,
Mm-hmm.
and then they kill the chicken,
Yeah.
and then they pluck the chicken, and then you have your chicken.
Yep.
And that would be totally different for us, too.
Well,
Not used to that.
yeah.
Okay, so we got groceries. What about laundry? Anything on laundry that stood out to you, Lisa?
Misha kept it pretty simple. You
That was
get a
pretty
bucket,
cool.
you put your laundry in there, your clothes, add some water and soap, close the lid, and start driving.
Bumpy roads, man. Agitation.
There you go.
Works perfect. And he was super happy with it. He's like, there was nothing that he would that he would do different about it. Next time they go on a trip, I bet you that's exactly what they do again. In Africa, they had paid some locals to clean like the sheets and that sort of thing that were bigger. Maybe they didn't fit in the bucket.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think the most common is people are just stopping at laundromats.
Yeah.
Laundromats and doing some of it by hand when that's not available.
I think I'd still like to kind of stick to doing it by hand or the bucket.
I think the bucket's a pretty cool idea because you're not relying on some mechanical device. And if it works just as well, save time at the laundromat.
Yeah. So some of their biggest challenges, what were they?
Biggest challenges, Till comes to mind for some reason. Making a decision to go to the Yukon Territory or Alaska. I don't remember. I should have looked it up. We didn't do a lot of research for doing this because I like kind of winging it. But making that decision to take one road or the other, and they took the more, what I would refer to as the risky route. So I think it's just a matter of making a decision that you're comfortable with whatever that outcome might be, while accepting at the same time that it may not go perfect.
Yeah.
And they were super happy with the decision they made. Everything worked out great and everything was good.
Right. Well, and where it comes in as being the unpredictable was it was also wintertime, so it made it more dangerous.
Yep, because it was all snow and ice, and probably wasn't a groomed road or a very well-maintained road at that. So you've got something like that. When we talked to Chris and Jason with Ox Overland, that was probably the sketchiest, where they were in a shale rock face, and if anything went wrong, the vehicle was going down, and there was just no stopping. So that was like the most sketchy.
Yeah, gravity starts, and you just kind of have to let it go.
Yeah, I don't think anything else really stands out to me that was a huge challenge. If I'm missing something, I apologize. Nothing's just really popping out at me right now on that one.
Ernesto looked like, in a couple of his photos, it got pretty muddy.
Yeah, that's true.
Pulling out the...
And they got the Max tracks, and they were super happy with those. After we talked with Bodensee Overlander, I noticed he had posted something somewhat recently, within the last couple of weeks, that they had gone down the steepest hill that they have ever experienced anywhere on the globe. And then afterwards read, I don't know if it was on iOverlander or where he read it, that somebody recommended, do not drive down this hiking trail.
Oh, so it wasn't a road.
It was super steep. I think they got a flat. There was something wrong. The vehicle had an issue at the same time. It was super sketchy.
Ooh.
So it just goes to show that things are going to happen while you're on the road, and you just need to be prepared to accept the challenge, stop and think about it, calmly and collectively, and overcome it, move on.
That's the adventure.
I mean, it sounds super easy to say as we sit in nice, comfortable chairs. But, I mean, I've been in some pretty sketchy situations, and you sit and wonder, I know I will eventually get through this and overcome it, but how? Yeah. And you got to come up with a how.
So, maintaining hygiene out there in the path of travel, I'd almost just enjoy an outdoor shower.
That's your Indian roots coming out there.
Yeah.
I want a shower inside, nice and comfortable, heated water. I do not like a cold shower. I took a couple cold showers in Alaska because there was no heat, and I mean, I got through it, but it was better than not showering.
Yeah.
I need heated water.
Well,
but, Ernesto and Thaisa made a really good point that you start to become acclimated to your environment.
Yeah.
So we're used to showering every day. Then you start getting used to every couple days, every couple weeks. And it's just not as big of a deal when you're not going into the office every day. So us as humans become acclimated to our environments over time. I think that's just part of it.
Well, probably a lot easier than we think it is.
Yeah, and then a lot of people are just stopping at campgrounds, at hostels to be able to get that shower. Other than that, I think most people have had some sort of a shower set up on board where they can get cleaned up.
That's what I would have. I make myself a little curtain.
And I think the older we get, the more important that kind of thing is, because we like the comfort. The younger people out there are able to get away with a lot less, probably. I'm not sure. But again, personal preference is what it comes down to.
Yeah. And planning, some just jumped right in it. They had that opportunity in a short amount of time. Others took a year or two.
I think I would rephrase that a little bit, where what sticks out to me the most is that people spent, in hindsight, more time planning than what was necessary. And the advice they're giving is, have a plan, sure, that's great, but the more important thing is, get out and do it.
Yeah.
Stop planning and just do it, because it's all going to come together anyway.
Right.
What about border crossings, Lisa? Anything stand out to you there? We've had some really amazing stories on border crossings and some really amazing advice.
I would have to say being patient and thinking ahead.
Being patient, having a plan, doing your research.
Yeah.
And iOverlander seems to be a great place to do some research and know what you're doing.
Yeah. And another tip that was given was you go through border crossings are better or easier in the mornings.
Yep. Mornings, you don't need a helper. Don't pay any bribes. The guy knocking on your window with a lanyard, not your friend. Just trying to get some money from you.
Yeah.
They got to make a living too, but not from us. And then you had, you remember Misha? It sounded like a Russian border, and it took some pretty intelligent negotiation on his part to get through that, because the border crossing agent said your vehicle can go through, but you're clear to go through, but your vehicle is not. Well, that's not helpful. Great, I'll walk to China from here. Thank you. So that really great, entertaining story. You can go back and listen to that episode with Misha, which is our first episode after our introduction episode.
Yeah.
And I think as I go back and listen to some of those, side note, the quality of the audio and the recording and the editing, thankfully, is getting better. I was not a magician, and I'm still not. But I think they're sounding much, much better. But as you do things, the first time you do it isn't going to be perfect. And I just accepted that, and you're going to work out the details and go from there. Okay, what's next?
Safety on the road.
Yeah, that was like a big concern of mine, and I think what it really comes down to, tell me if anything else has really stuck out different to you, but it just really comes down to being smart and being aware of your surroundings and listening to your gut.
Yeah, and don't travel at night.
And don't travel, yep, true. Because if you get a flat, you're exposed.
Taken advantage. Yeah,
you're exposed and you can't go anywhere. So if the bad guy is out there, if the boogeyman is going to come get you, you can't leave. You're like, hey, boogeyman, what's up? I don't know. But yeah, just being smart, listen to your gut. I think Hein had a really good advice where he and his wife made an agreement before they left that if either one of them did not feel good about any location they were at, that they wouldn't even take the time to ask each other, well, why not? They're just like, okay, you don't feel good, no problem. Let's start it up, let's leave, let's go to the next location. And I think that that's really good advice.
Yeah.
Because then you've got two guts working to your advantage instead of only one.
Yeah. And as long as the guy listens to the woman, then they'll be okay.
Whoa. That's pretty tough sometimes, I got to give it to you. But you are a wise woman.
Us women, we have gut intuitions. And
yeah. Probably better than some men. It's just hard to accept. Okay, moving right along. What about working on the road?
I think I would enjoy it.
But, well, you would enjoy it, but how many people are doing that? I've been surprised that, like, nobody really is, which I think is kind of cool. Some people are doing little projects because they're in IT and they're able to do that and work remotely, but there's nobody else really doing anything other than that, no? Yeah, so it's really going to depend on each individual person, what they're doing, or if they have a skill set that allows them to work remotely. There was Jack and Gemma that had mentioned they may pick up some work on a farm or something like that along the way.
Yeah, that's where the farm came in.
Yeah.
I remembered something about it.
I think that they would probably do it more out of enjoyment and getting a little extra cash than an absolute necessity.
Right. And then navigation and communication. Gaia.
Yeah, all different forms and all different ways of doing it. We had a great interview with Gaia. That's really my go-to and my favorite. So check out that episode with Gaia GPS. You can download that app, and we've got a link on the show notes for that episode. And then you can pre-download all the different maps for wherever you're going. And like I always use 3 different types of maps for each area because you can use them offline. Your GPS is going to pick that up on your phone. You don't need any data or Wi-Fi or internet service to do it. It doesn't suck up a bunch of battery power, but I don't think overlanders are super worried about that. And you'll know where you are. I think it's super handy.
Well, if you coordinate that with, is it iOverland?
Not iOverlander, no. iOverlander is going to be more of an informational-based app that you can go to.
Okay.
Yeah, the other one that comes up a lot is going to be Maps.me.
I mean, that's
so it tends to be like people in like Europe, Africa, they tend to be using more of the Maps.me, and the closer to the States you get, especially in the States, if you talk to people in the States, it's going to be Gaia GPS. It works worldwide. I just think they have more of a presence in the States.
Okay.
And in Canada, probably. So maintenance and repair, I don't know we have a lot to really talk about on that one. I think it really comes down to being smart, making sure that you understand your vehicle. If there's specific tools required, you want to carry those with you. There hasn't been really a running theme for I carry this all the time or I carry that all the time. A tire repair kit seems to be like number one. A compressor to be able to air up your tires seems to be like a no-brainer. We ask everybody to carry 1 spare tire or 2. That varies 50-50 each way. Ernesto and Thaisa with Overland the Americas, that was the first time that I heard that they are carrying the oil and the filters with them. I thought it was super smart that Thaisa made a trip back home, and then when she came back, she brought brake pads back with her.
Yeah.
To get the OEM brake pads was going to be a lot more expensive outside the States, which I thought was backwards. But hey, good information to know, and that was a super smart move on their part. Let's talk about our favorite subject.
Overlanders doing good?
Yep. So GHT is all about doing good, being grateful, being humble, but having the tenacity to go out and do what it is you want to tackle in life. So one of our questions that we ask everybody is, what type of either philanthropy, what are you doing, and or what do you see others can do to spread a little bit of good in the world? And that's been a fun question, and I've really been surprised, enlightened, I don't know what the right word is, on the variety of different things that you're able to do to help other people and do good things in the world.
I think it's part of that is just paying it forward. And there's a lot of genuinely nice, approachable people in the world.
Well, approachable, yeah. And unfortunately, the negativity seems to stand out the most. I think that's due to the, sorry, news media people. You spread lots of bad things, start spreading good things. Hey, it is what it is. But it comes down to a good majority of people in the world, the vast majority of people in the world are good people.
Yeah.
And some of them can use help by other people.
Yeah.
Right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's really good. So when we talked to Misha, he had helped fund vaccinations for a school. Hein had raised money to buy new computers for a school. So you've got that end of it. And then you've got like Jack and Christina with GHT Overland, which originally attracted me to contact them. And they're cleaning up beaches. So it comes in all shapes and sizes,
yeah,
forms of what you can do.
Exactly. Because each of their actions that they're doing is a positive change to that environment.
Yep.
Like, I can't imagine coming across a beach it's that dirty. That has...
Yeah, there's plastic and crap just everywhere. And it just lands on, unfortunately, some beautiful places.
Yeah.
So stop throwing that stuff in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we had that. And then one that really surprised me, I love this one, is Ernesto and Thaisa with Overland the Americas. And they're helping local people get posted on iOverlander who have a good, safe location to rent for an overnight stay.
Yes.
So you want to park somewhere that's secure. They said that that's pretty important. You don't want to just plop out in the middle of a road somewhere. Bad things could happen then. And if you're not with a larger group of people, that could potentially turn into an issue.
Yeah, that's a good one. Because, you know, and you can have that as your part of your future destination in your travels.
Yeah, so it's super good information for overlanders that are traveling into new places they've not been before. And then it's super beneficial to those local people. They're subsidizing their income.
Yeah, and that was another thing.
And they're making a great experience for the person that stays there.
That was brought up was don't get caught up in contributing to like not necessarily the resort side, but the locals may not get income from that. Like,
True.
Support the locals, like their fruit stands.
Yep. That came from Misha, is what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
So he had mentioned specifically, instead of staying in the parks in Africa, they would stay just outside the parks. All the wildlife was there anyway, and they were helping support the local people. In the larger parks inside the park, it doesn't really benefit the local people that much. So they're able to make a bigger impact by staying with them. And I think this does the same thing in the Americas as you're going through Chile, and stay with some really cool people, get to know the culture, and how can you do that better than staying with the local people and then paying them for being able to stay there, get some water, take a shower, wash some clothes. Super awesome. Really, really good idea. Looking forward to all the other tips and ideas and things that people are doing.
Yeah. It's truly so inspiring and flat out awesome that so many overlanders are doing so much good in the world as they're traveling and exploring.
Yep. Super inspiring. I think it's awesome. So I hope everyone is gaining some good knowledge. I hope you're enjoying the stories. I hope that you find the podcast valuable for your time. And we really appreciate you sticking with us. And getting from those first days of the audio not being great and us not sounding very comfortable to hopefully sounding a lot more comfortable and relaxed and the audio being better. Because I've figured out the software a lot better than I used to.
Yeah. Well, I guess you could say I'm a little shy, but I'm opening up.
It's just you and me sitting here.
True.
And thousands of people listening to us.
Exactly. No, but I think I would really enjoy getting more questions from our listeners.
Oh, good point.
Maybe do a Q&A. Kind of 20 minutes, So throw us some questions. We'd be interested in answering some.
I think questions
you might have.
Yep. I mean, we're totally 100% open, which is just kind of the way we roll. We do our business the same way, but we're open to suggestions. We're open to questions, and we're equally open to if you know somebody that you would love to hear on the podcast and have us interview. Send them our way, or just send us their information and we will track them down. Well, you'll track them down.
I'm good at that.
I'm getting better. So I think we'll wrap this one up. Thanks, guys, again for listening, and hope you're enjoying the podcast. Hope you're having a great day. And what are our normal closing advertisements? Currently, it is May in 2018, so we're going to be at the Northwest Overland Rally, June 28th through July 1st. Love to see you there. We'll have a booth there, so stop by. I don't know if they call it a booth or a table or a section of lawn or what it is, but hopefully people can find us, and hopefully you would be willing to stop by, shake our hand, say hi, and tell us what you think.
Yeah, we'd like to see you.
And Lisa's got some t-shirts and mugs for sale. And I think we're going to be giving away some stickers.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Really sweet.
Yeah. Are we good?
Can we have a barista there? I need some coffee.
And that's a wrap. I hope you guys have a great week.
Cheers.
Cheers.